Hello everyone, Matt from Model Minutes here, and welcome back to the workbench for another big kit unboxing. This week it is the Airfix Vintage Classic Hawker Hurricane Mk.1 in 1/24 scale. So join me as I take a look inside this big old kit and see what it's like. So starting off on the front here, you can see clearly that it's an Airfix Vintage Classic model. It's got the vintage artwork and it looks absolutely amazing. Part of the draw of these Vintage Classics is the fact that it sort of speaks to that nostalgia. And I love seeing the old artwork brought back out again. So down here, bottom right, we've got an item code of A14002V, V standing for vintage. Flipping over to the back, and we've got nothing there. So, you can hear everything moving around in the box. That's not a good sign. On this long edge, we've got Airfix Vintage Classics and then two different paint schemes and some information about the actual Hurricane. Moving on, we've got some safety warning information and contact addresses for Hornby. Flipping over to the other edge, and we've got information about the kit itself. So it says here the mould was made in 1973 and the illustration from the front was done by Roy Cross in the same year. So it is an old model. Length of the kit is 398mm, wingspan is 508mm, and there's 261 pieces included. And then over here we've got our two different paint schemes. We've got one flown by Flight Lieutenant Ian Gleed from 87 Squadron Royal Air Force Exeter in 1940, or one flown by Squadron Leader Peter Townsend from 85 Squadron at RAF Church Fenton. And I'm probably going to do the Flight Lieutenant Ian Gleed one because I've actually built a 1/72nd scale version of this aircraft, and I think it would look great to have them, you know, one on the wing of the other to show, you know, how scales work. So I would be inclined to do this one. I also find it a little bit more interesting because it's got that red flash on the nose, whereas this one is a fairly standard affair. A little bit further on then, we've got 4 flying hours. So cut that out, keep it, put it in your club box and then send off for free kits. A list of humble paints, it doesn't quote that many, and it tells us that it's a skill level 3. So in comparison to the Hellcat, which I looked at previously, which was a skill level 4, this is a skill level 3, so it should be slightly easier. It shouldn't present too many challenges for someone who's got some modelling experience under the belt. So anyway, let's get the box open and see what we've got inside. We have a big old bag with lots of random bits off the sprue. So yeah, this is, oh, I hope it's all there. I hope everything's in the bag. Oh yeah, amazing. Right, let's put that to one side and have a look at the instructions. As usual, let's have a look at the instructions first. So these are an A4 booklet, same sort of standards that you get from Airfix these days. Information about the actual Hurricane and some specifications, a few tips down the bottom there, and then we turn over for some safety information and a key to the symbols you might encounter. And then we get straight into the build, so we can assemble our engine nacelle area and our engine. So I presume you can display the engine with the panels off. There is an optional part here for something that goes on the nose, which I think might be more for like a Mark II version. I don't know. I will have to look into that. I'm sure someone in the comments knows why they're optional, so let me know. Moving on then, we can assemble quite a lot of the engine by the looks of it, and it's got these frames that go around the outside, and then we move on down and assemble cockpit components. So there's quite a lot of cockpit components, and we've got a pilot in this one, which is nice because in the Hellcat we didn't have a pilot. We assemble our control panel, add various elements inside of the aircraft, so we can add our engine assembly, our cockpit seating parts in there as well. Various small components go together, then we can join the fuselage together. It has a similar feel to a 1/72nd or 1/48 scale kit, just there's more parts to do it. Coming onto the tailplane, the machine gun bays, that's a nice addition, so we can display the gun bays open, which I might actually do. Although actually it's got a pilot, so maybe I could display this flying. Does it come with a display stand? I think it comes with a display stand. So yeah, if it comes with a display stand, I might display it flying and then maybe display the gun bays and the engines as separate models. That would be interesting. So we're coming on down, we can do our landing gear in the raised or lowered position, and then we move on to the back page, and it's literally just adding the final parts and covers. If you don't want to add the covers, don't add them, because you can display it with the bays open. And we do have a display stand, so that shows you how to assemble the display stand. Amazing, cool. So not a very complicated set of instructions for a large kit. Painting instructions then, these are an A3 page, it's all printed in colour, which is lovely to see. We've got Scheme B, because it's just the first one I looked at, which is the 85 Squadron aircraft, and you can see it's just generic sort of RAF colours for a Hurricane, nothing too exciting. And there's even some research notes over here, just extra information. And then flipping over, we've got Scheme A, which is the one I'm probably going to do, because it's a little bit more interesting with those red spinner and flashes down the nose. And there are some research notes here as well about how there could be different shades of red on the roundels. So swings and roundabouts, I guess you've got an option, you can do either. And speaking of the decals, we've got one relatively large sheet, and these are printed by Cartograph, so they should be absolutely amazing. And you can see there that the printing is really nice as well. Even on the smaller stencils up here, the printing is legible and really neat. There's no cracks in the transfers. I never really have any issues with Cartograph decals, so these should go on to the model with no problems. Brilliant. Not too many transfers either, so if you don't really like doing transfers, you don't really have that many to do on this one. It's like I said earlier, it's a bit like a 1/72 scale model, just scaled up. Right, anyway, enough of that. Let's get into this horrendous plastic bag and see what's potentially missing. Oh god, I'm gonna hate doing this. So what we do get in our plastic bags, well separately, are the display stand, which is sort of a standard big Airfix kit affair, which comes in a couple of parts, 3 parts by the looks of it, moulded in black. There we go, some black plastic there. Moulding is relatively good. I am questioning the likelihood of it supporting the weight. I mean, it must do, they must have designed it to do that. On the inside here, you can see we've got the old Airfix logo, so that sort of telltale sign of how old it was. And these look like battery mounts, don't they? They look like you could put a battery in there and then run a wire up through the hole to put a motor inside the aircraft. So I wonder if that was the intention. Interesting. So that's the display stand. Clear parts also come in a bag, and these are quite nice. The plastic has a bit of flash on it. I mean, it is an old tooling, so it's going to have a little bit of flash, I'm sure. But the mould quality is quite good. There's no real scratches or blemishes on there. We've got a control panel, landing light parts, some smaller parts. I think that's the rear the rear mirror. And we've got our canopy parts here. There's a small scratch on this one here, but other than that, it looks all right. So let's look at the big bag of stuff. Oh, hang on, tell a lie, there's another bag. There's another bag with something in it. Looks like wheels to me. So we've got some wheels. And these are moulded in a rubbery plastic. That's really good. And we've even got, hang on, what's it say on there? Dunlop. It's even got Dunlop written or moulded onto the tyre side. So that's a nice attention to detail, isn't it? I don't know if that'll come out in the video there. Dunlop aeroplane. That's cool. You see it's flexible though. Nice, that's a nice addition, I like that. Right, now let's look at the big bag of stuff. Oh, this is not good. This is horrendous. Alright, so we've got, there's just bits. It's just bits everywhere. I'm probably going to lose something. There we go. So there is my pile of bits. Right, well let's look at this first. What have we got here? We've got, focus on that please. There we go. We've got a fuselage half here. Details are quite good despite the age. We've got recessed and raised. Panel lines and rivets, which is quite nice. The details are a little bit soft. Inside we've not really got anything. That's one fuselage half. Plastic does feel a little bit greasy, so it might be worth giving it a wash. We've got some nice sort of ribbing detail, or where the stressed canvas skin would have been on the aircraft. That's a nice detail. And we've got our frame here for the engine. Upper wing halves. Yep, so like I said just now, we've got some recessed and raised details. We've got loads of rivets on this as well. A little bit softly moulded, but generally not too bad. Should build into a good representation of the Hurricane. On the inside, nah, nothing in there. No details in there. Lower wing surface. This is the same sort of deal, exactly the same sort of quality. Flash is minimal. I haven't noticed too much in the way of flash. There is a little bit in a few places, like over here on the wing. We've got some there and some there. So it will need a little bit of cleaning up. But obviously it's not the worst kit I've seen in the world. And then we're met with just a pile of stuff. So we've kind of got like 3 sprues, sort of. We've got, what's this? This looks like control surfaces and landing gear bay. Other parts of the landing gear bay and legs. Parts have fallen off all over the place. I hope everything's here. Machine guns are there. They're quite well moulded, aren't they? They're not bad representations. Landing gear legs over there. We've got our pilot's arms here, so they can be positioned at the control column. Some other various parts. We've got propeller blades. I've got 2 propeller blades on this sprue, so I hope there's a propeller blade knocking around somewhere. We've got our cowling covers there, and the control surfaces on the tail. Oh, engine parts. Let's look at these. So these are quite nicely detailed. Moulding is fairly crisp. See pipework and stuff on that one. Yeah, it's not a bad looking kit despite its age. I mean, obviously I think Airfix would have spent a lot of money and a lot of time creating this tooling. So they would have put their heart and soul into it at the time, given the technology of the day and what they had sort of resource-wise. And to be honest, the moulding seems to have held up quite well. So now I've just got a pile of bits, which, I hope that they're all here. I hope that I'm not missing something. So I've got a spinner, that's handy. I've got another propeller blade, that's good. I've got more parts of the pilot. There's my pilot. He looks alright, doesn't he? He's not a badly moulded representation of a person, if the camera decides to focus. There we go. Yeah, he's alright. So this comes with a display stand and a pilot, so this instantly tells me that I have to build it flying. It has to be in a flying pose, because I'm so tired of the amount of planes that don't come with display stands or pilots, and the only option you have is to put it, on the ground. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this one fly. I probably won't put a motor in it, but watch this space, I guess. Other small parts here. Yeah, I just hope it's all here. But yeah, that's it. Let's recap. We've got a pile of bits, basically. I've got so many bits and some, bits of sprue and all of that. So yeah, one big bag of bits with, a lot of parts in it. Hopefully they're all there. We've got a little bag with some rubbery wheels. I'm just going to chuck them in. A display stand moulded in black plastic, and some rather nicely moulded clear parts. Not that many, but enough to finish the kit with. And what else did we have? Fairly easy to follow, simple instructions, not necessarily up to today's standard from Airfix, but they'll do the job. We've got some lovely colour painting instructions and a beautiful sheet of transfers from Cartograph, all contained within a rather nostalgic box. And there we have it, the Airfix Hawker Hurricane Mk.1 in 1/24 scale. So let's talk a little bit about the history of the kit. So like I said, this was originally tooled back in 1973, and since then it's been released quite a lot. It's been in the Airfix range on and off since then a number of times. Granted, mostly sort of as this paint scheme, but it has seen other schemes in the past as well. I can't wholeheartedly remember what I paid for this. It came to me as part of a mystery bundle, so I actually probably got it for a really cheap price, and if I can find that video I'll link it down below. I might have given myself more information in that video, but for now, how much would we be looking at paying? So at the time of making this video, it would seem that it doesn't appear to be on the Airfix website, so I can't really compare what the RRP was. However, it would seem that various online sellers have it retailing for around the £50 mark here in the UK, which, if I'm honest, seems about right for a kit of this size and quality, especially given that it is an old tool and the market probably has got quite a lot out there, especially second-hand wise. And bearing that all in mind, it's not up to the standard of the current 1/24th scale kits that Airfix have been releasing, such as the Hellcat or the new Spitfire. And with those retailing for around the £100 mark or more, it would make sense that this, an older kit, be retailing for somewhat less. So in conclusion, this is an old kit which, although it does benefit from reasonably good moulded parts and, you know, a good mould quality despite its age, it does have those excellent decals and the colour painting instructions being really easy to follow. It isn't really up to the standards of current models, especially given the fact that how it was inside the box, and I worry that I may have lost some. I don't know for sure, I'm hoping I haven't, and the potential for them to get damaged. Other kits from Airfix or other manufacturers, they tend to be a little bit more neatly laid out to prevent damage. I mean, like, this is a big box and it doesn't take up all the space inside the box, so there is loads of room in there for these to move around, get damaged and get lost. But anyways, that's it for me. I hope that you've enjoyed this one, and I hope that you thought my assessment was fair. Let me know down in the comments what you thought and if you enjoyed this video. As always, a quick shout out to my patrons and channel members for the extra support these guys give the channel. Massive thanks to these guys on screen, and if you'd like to get involved, take a look at the links in the description. If you're new here, subbing to the channel means you'll never miss a modelling upload, and dropping a like will help others with a similar interest find this video. Finally, the last thing to say is a massive thank you to you for watching this one, and I'll see you on the workbench again next time.